And welcome to What America's Thinking, where we discuss key elections, demographic trends, and public opinion. I'm Julia Manchester.
And I'm Rafael Bernal. Let's get into today's deep dive. Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema announced she is leaving the Democratic Party and will register as an independent.
That's right. Sinema told CNN's Jake Tapper, "I've never fit in neatly into any party box. I've never really tried. I don't want to. Removing myself from the partisan culture, not only is it true to who I am and how I operate, but I also think it'll provide a place of belonging for many folks across the state and the country who are also tired of partisanship." So, Rafael, my biggest question, I guess, pressing question on this is, what does this mean for Arizona's Senate race in 2024? They just had a big one. Yeah. I imagine that this really opens the door for Democrats looking to run. If she decides, we don't know whether she's going to run again.
Yeah, we don't know. I'm assuming that in a very short time frame, we'll probably hear that Congressman Ruben Gallego is officially running. He was, worst kept secret in Washington or in Arizona. He was going to primary Sinema. She was very vulnerable. I've heard from Arizona local legislators who were knocking on doors during this campaign season that voters were mad, unprompted. They would tell Democrats knocking on doors, "Are you going to be the next Kyrsten Sinema? Don't be the next Kyrsten Sinema." So she has a problem, at least in the Phoenix area, probably in the more liberal parts of Arizona. But that's where the Democratic voters are. It's very hard to run as an independent in Arizona. The parties have made it. I think it's something like she would have to get twice the signatures. Shouldn't be a problem as an incumbent senator, but there are roadblocks.
Yeah.
So this could be a signal that, yes, she's going to run as an independent, basically what she's hinting at, or it could be a signal that she's ready to call it quits, one term and done with the Senate and go do something else. But how does this change the dynamics of the Senate, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, she said that she'll be, I think the committees, she'll be keeping her committee assignments that should, remain relatively normal. But my question this morning when I woke up and saw the news was, is this a scenario like Angus King and Bernie Sanders where they caucus with the Democrats? I mean, it doesn't really change the majority at the moment, but I mean, she's been such a wild card. But I would say that, she has, for the most part, I mean, and I say this very generally, I mean, the White House hinted at this in their statement, she's been, she's been with the Democrats on a lot of issues. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I mean, does this make things, this newfound majority Democrats had, that Rafael Warnock helped win them just days ago. I mean, does this make it more complicated, I guess, from a technical perspective? Well,
staying in committee assignments is the most important part for Democrats. They had a even split with the 50-50 Senate. They also had to even split the committee memberships. Since she won't be caucusing with the Democrats, but she'll be in committee with the Democrats, so half caucusing with the Democrats. Yeah. Kyrsten Sinema does things her own way. That means that the Democrats will get to have those committee majorities that they really wanted, and it doesn't seem like she's going to cost them that. I don't think. She never really went to caucus meetings anyway, so I don't think Democrats are really going to miss her that much.
Yeah, and I mean, we're getting into some inside Washington baseball here, but one question I had that I've seen talked about a little bit online in some of the operatives I've talked to, what happens to her staff? I mean, if you're a Democratic staffer working in the United States Senate and your boss decides to become an independent, I mean, do you stay with your boss? Do you become an independent? Are you a Democrat? How does that, I'm just curious how that works, and I guess we'll find out more about that.
Yeah, does it hurt your resume? There's a different kind of independent, like you mentioned, like people who worked for Bernie Sanders can progress really easily into the progressive caucus with other members of Congress who, they do have a D next to their name, but they're clearly more Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden people.
Right.
So that is easy. The other question with Sinema is, how does this affect the policy proposal she's had? She's been a point person in negotiating with Republicans, most recently this immigration proposal. mainly because Republicans trust her, because they see some commingling ideology with her, if not on all social issues, definitely on economic issues at least. Will Democrats, if she strikes a good deal with Republicans, will Democrats still follow her?
Yeah, it's such a good question. I mean, can Democrats still trust her? Especially, like I said before, you know, the first half of this week was them celebrating this newfound majority that was definitely going to, or I guess, increased majority that was going to make their lives a lot easier. And like you said, with those committee assignments, it appears that, you know, that's the most important thing right now. But, you know, will she strike a deal with Republicans? I don't know. I would imagine if I'm a Democrat in the Senate right now, I might be very annoyed with Kyrsten Sinema, but maybe reaching out to her wouldn't be such a bad idea. I've heard some Democrats say, well, this isn't news. She's always been an independent, so.
That's good. Yeah, and the other thing is, if she does come up with a good deal, with a deal that Democrats want, I don't think Democrats are in any position. They have a week left of legislation before the House gets turned over, presumably to Kevin McCarthy. They can't really say no to anything. But the electoral dynamic puts a lot of pressure on Ruben Gallego, right? He's gonna be now in the minority, in charge of the Hispanic caucus campaign arm, trying to help regain that majority for Democrats. Does he stick around and do that, or does he go campaign full time for the Senate? Because an Arizona Senate seat is not a done deal for Democrats.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a done deal. And I'm curious to see what Republicans are looking at this like. I mean, I imagine it presents an opportunity for them. But with Ruben Gallego, that's going to be very interesting because Democrats feel optimistic that they could take back the House in 2024. But there's still obviously roadblocks, and they'll be in the minority then. And a lot can happen in the next 2 years. You know, we're seeing recession in all of the headlines and stuff. I don't think that's going to play well for the party in power. We'll have to see. But Ruben Gallego, he's the guy to watch. I'm sure his phone is ringing off the hook today.
Yeah. Do you think he wants to run against Carrie Lake for Senate?
I'm sure he would love that. Yes.
He would love that. All right, that's all for today. Now we know a little bit more about what America's thinking. See you next time.